It's the Memorial Tournament this weekend. Welcome, everyone, to Tea Time. I am Andy from WagerTalk.com, being joined, as always, by my fellow golf betting expert, Nick Borman. We're going to break down the Memorial Tournament. We're going to give you a course preview. We're going to talk about some total strokes gained, give you some favorites, some long shots, some big names we think can trip you up. Nick, I think Augusta's the best course that they play every year, but boy, Muirfield is this is what top three at worst. This is a brutal course. I just love this one. Quick take on Muirfield.
Yeah, of the regular stops in the PGA Tour, this is definitely one of the players' favorites. You know, obviously Jack Nicklaus, of course, it's his baby as well. But it plays as the most difficult non-major every single year. And last year it averaged 1.504, so 1.5 strokes over par. I mean, that just tells you how difficult it is. Most of these courses are averaging under par. So it is a true test of golf. This is now the second season. Well, the last two seasons. Let me rephrase that. The last two seasons, Andy, besides ranking as the hardest average, it was also the hardest golf course to hit. This included the majors in greens and regulation. 9.5 in 2023 and 9.6 last year was the average. So, I mean, these guys are barely hitting half the greens on average for the field. Again, just makes sense as to why the par is so tough. And the rough is 4 inches. You know, it's U.S. Open length rough to start the week, and they just let it go. So there's a premium. We say it, you know, some weeks it matters, some weeks it doesn't. This is a premium to get the ball in the fairway. It is a penalty, a true penalty, if you do not. So the golf course plays like a major. You look at the winning scores, they're generally in the single digits. Occasionally you get one, maybe two guys in the field just cresting that 10 under, 11 under, 12 under mark, but it's rare. So for all those reasons, it's a great tournament because, you know, us as viewers, we like to see these type of events. We like to see the events where the guys are, you know, not shooting 62, 63, 64, and the winners at 25 under par. That will not be the case this week. This is a true ball striker's paradise, and Jack's very good at just subtle nuances that it's really just that mess with the player's mind, like your sight line things. There's small humps and bumps that just you got to know where kind of to leave the ball at certain places. But it's a true test golf. It's a great golf course. I can't wait to watch it, and it is one of, if not the best, non-major event of the year for sure.
Yeah, we're looking at 7,569 yards. This is going to play
Yep.
as a par 72. Fairways are a little bit narrow, and to me, it's all about the rough. And it's not just like on the fairways; it's around the greens. 13 holes, I believe, have water hazards in play. The greens are extremely difficult to putt on, and like Jack always says, the best player that the best player that plays best that week will win this tournament. It and I know that sounds corny, but you can't be great on driving and bad on putting here. You can't. You got to be great everywhere. So the guy that hits the drives the best, the irons best, and the putts is just going to be the one left standing. So let's take a look at the 18th hole rating. This is a great one, Nick. I give this a 7.4.
Solid, yeah.
Yeah, this is a great one. 490 yards, par 4. It's just a classic, and it's brutally hard. The hole bends to the right. The fairway gets narrow in the landing spot. There's thick rough everywhere. Bunkers on the right side. Impossible angle. If you're in the left rough, you're just not going to have a shot at the green. So you have an inaccurate drive. Birdie's pretty much out of the question unless you hole something out. I love that it's surrounded by bunkers, and the rough and the green is just so thick that you're better off being in the bunkers. You don't want to be in the you don't want to be in this thick stuff. So this is a top 3 18th hole for me on tour. It can cause some really big scores. It can cause drama. So I really enjoy this hole. I think it's just a fantastic hole to finish off a golf tournament. And then my favorite hole is I'm going to go with the 11th hole, 567 yard par 5. It's just beautiful, and birdies are necessary on these par 5s, and yet they can be hard to come by. If you miss your drive, you're bringing a big number into play. You got to get it in the fairway. The left is big trouble. It's got creek. There's trees. There's rough. The right has thick rough. There's trees. There's sand. If you hit the fairway, you kind of have a chance of going for it too, but that's risky. There's thick rough surrounding it, bunker, water. It's a really good scoring opportunity with a good drive, but you don't hit that drive right, you can bring a big number into play. So I really like this 11th hole. Very gettable. But it can trip players up. So, any last words here on the course, Nick, or should we just go right to total strokes gained?
Yeah, I think it branches into total strokes gained pretty well. I was chuckling as you were describing that 11th hole. You were like, dead over here, dead over there, dead there. There's dead, 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 dead. It's like, okay, yeah, that's true.
It is. Well, let's take a look at total strokes gained. We show this chart every week. It's going to be a lot of the biggest name players in the sport right now. Break it down for us, Nick. What are your takeaways for the last 12 months, 6 months, and 3 months?
Well, I always like to kind of look at the strokes gained. First of all, I always mention, how accurate it's been in these bigger tournaments. The green bar at the top, 29 of the last 42 signature majors or playoff events. So 69% of the winners of those events dating back to the beginning of 2023, so 2.5 years now, have come from the top 10. Only one time this year was that not the case. That was Sepp Straka at the Truist. He was 15th, so it's not like he was far off the list. This is very predictive in the tougher tournaments, the deepest fields. Eventually the cream rises to the crop. So another tournament, I think we would both be surprised if the winner is not coming from this graphic. I also like to look at the odds really, and kind of compare them to years past. So obviously Scottie Scheffler, you look at the odds board, you're like, geez, 3-1 or less now at some places to win this week. That's low. Well, he won here last year at 4-1. So it's not like it dropped a lot. And remember, Rory was in the field. So you don't have Rory this year. So it kind of does make sense. I think it is justified. I don't think it's like I don't want to say it's justified, but I want to say it makes sense compared to where it was last year and the drop this year to be 3-1. And then it's fall off from there. But Scottie Scheffler, just a quick couple takes on him. So only 3 players this is his 3rd straight start. Only 3 players have beaten him in total over those 3 starts. That was last week's 3 guys because he finished tied for 4th and he won the previous 2. And then only 4 players have beaten Scottie Sheffield at Muirfield Village over the last 3 years. There's a reason for that. The guy is better than everybody else at getting the ball in play. He's got enough distance, plenty of distance to keep up with the big hitters, but he hits it straighter than them all. He finds the fairway, and then from there, obviously, he's one of the best at hitting the green. So it makes a lot of sense. His price makes a lot of sense. It's hard to, want to bet him on the outright market because it's him or nothing. But honestly, it's like it's hard to argue against it. However, we'll get into what some guys that provide value in a little bit. Other notables here on this, Xander, we've talked about a few times. He's starting to creep back up. Obviously his 12-month strokes gain numbers are good because he was so good last year. Shorter term, it was coming back from the injury. He seems to be rounding in the form. We have talked about him the last few. Justin Thomas has been lights out. It was a disappointing PGA for him, but aside from that, you expect him to play well. And then I'm a little up in the air with the other guys. Patrick Cantley has ridiculous course history here. He won in 2019, won in 2021, finished 4th in 18 and 3rd in 2022. Yet, he's not flashy. He's not winning. He's just like, whatever. And, I hate to watch him because he's slow and boring and has no flair, but he gets the job done, especially here. I just don't know kind of how to take him. And we never timed him right anyway. And then Morikawa is the other guy that obviously he shows well in the graphic. He sits 2nd strokes gained over the last 12 months, but he won this event. Well, he didn't win this event. He won the Workday Open. I'm sure you remember this, Andy. It was that weird COVID year where they played this tournament at the Workday, and then they played it again the very next week for the Memorial. He won the first edition of that. But he also did finish runner-up here in 2021 when it was the Memorial. So, again, more good course history from him at this course. Aside from that, Matsuyama, oh, my gosh, he seems to be going backwards, but that's generally when he strikes out of nowhere. And then you look at guys like Russell Henley. It's kind of like the Masters. This is probably just too long for him to really contend. But he's very accurate. He's not going to get in a lot of trouble if he's hitting his normal shot. So that could keep him in the mix just because of that. But will it be enough to win? I don't know. But that's kind of my takes on this graphic. I threw the notables at the bottom. Those are the guys kind of trending in the right direction. I threw Ludwig on there, even though he's not trending in the right direction, just because he's a top 10 player in the world. He's just kind of trending the opposite. But Straka and Berger are guys that are up in the top 5, actually, in strokes gained over the last 3 months. So they belong here on this list as well. But that's my notes on this top 10 strokes gained graphic.
Love it. Great stuff. Speaking of Ludwig, let's go to players that can trip you up. These are a list of players that I think people are going to be betting on, and I'm here to say I think they might pick you up, and Ludwig is number 1. Nick, I keep going back to when he got sick and had to withdraw, and he has not been remotely the same since. I don't know if it's if something happened there, but this guy is just he's a fade machine right now. We keep fading him. He keeps working. He's finished miscut 60th and 54th in his last 3 tournaments. His approach and short gain numbers are really bad. Minus 0.24 approach, kind of dead even on putting and around the green in the last 3 months. His driving is still good. But this tournament requires every part of your game to be dialed in, and he's just not. He's not there. I really would love to know what happened to him. So we'll see if we can get some more information on that one. Next, I'm going to Corey Connors. He's priced as a top 10 guy this week. He's one top 20 finish at this tournament, so I just can't jump to the conclusion that he's just all of a sudden going to be a top 10 guy this week. I mean, listen, Connors has been great. You showed that graphic. He's trending in the right direction, but to me, he's just overpriced, so that just rules me out of betting on him. So Xander Schauffele is going to be my third one. Is he back to being a top 3 golfer in the world? I just don't think so. He has one top 10 finish this season. One top 10 finish in 7 tournaments here. So I think it's a pretty big leap to think that he's going to be great this week. Driving accuracy has been terrible. Putting is average at best. So I hope to get a nice head-to-head matchup with him against Morikawa or one other name. So yes, Dan, I see your message. Yes, I forgot to do one and done at the very beginning. I was so excited to talk about the course. Sorry about that one. So yeah, one and done. This is where we tied. Do you realize our guys finished exactly tied for that one? So I thought that was pretty funny. So I'll go first. I'm using my Colin Morikawa. I haven't used him this year. Ball striker's paradise. So I will take my Colin Morikawa here. So that's my one and done. I think he's got the complete game to at least contend. Is he going to beat Scheffler? I'm not going that far, but I think he gets a good finish here this week. So, Colin Morikawa is my one and done. Nick, who is your one and done this week?
I'm going with Sepp Straka, and I got to be honest, I'm not loving it. Like we talked about him after the Truist and going to the PGA at Quail. Like he doesn't have the length, right? That's what hurts him. He even said that going into Quail, and obviously this is a long track. Yet he's made it work here. I think you add up hitting fairways and greens over the course of 4 days, and the loss of strokes just because of the penalty in the rough. Maybe that's what's keeping him afloat in these type of tournaments. Yeah, he's not. If you put him next to anybody else hitting the same amount of fairways and greens, he's probably going to lose out because over time he's going to lose the proximity battle. He's going to have a few less putts made. But the fact that you're going to probably assume he's going to hit a couple more fairways and a couple more greens per round on average, that seems to be keeping him in the mix here at Muirfield. Tied for 16th, 23rd, and actually tied for 5th last year at this tournament. And they haven't changed anything. It's one of the few years they really haven't changed anything at Muirfield going into this year. So he's gotten it done. Obviously, he's playing the best golf of his life. PGA, we knew it was going to be tough coming off a win. He said he struggles there, and a lot of it was going to be, because he doesn't have the length. He actually just hit his irons really bad that week. He lost strokes for only the second time this season on approach. Aside from that start and once at the Genesis where he missed the cut, he's been over a stroke gained on every other start on approach. So an anomaly is what I'm throwing that at. I expect him back in the fairway. I expect his irons to be decent. Will it be enough to win? I mean, again, if Scottie's hitting just as many, probably not. But it should be enough to add a few strokes over the course of 4 days, and maybe that's enough to keep us in the top 5, top 10 for sure. And then in a signature event like this, that's pretty good money on the one and done. I don't have Scottie. I don't have Colin to use this week, so I didn't think I was going to use Straka here, but I think he kind of makes a little sense.
Well, he made my DraftKings lineup, so you and I are in agreement. Yeah,
okay.
that he's going to be good. So let's take a look at your favorite. This bodes well for me. Before you get into that, tell everyone what you have up at Wager Talk for the clients.
Sure. Right now, it is Wednesday. It is there's midweek MLS this week, so I do have a 4-pack going for MLS. It's a profitable season again so far in 2025, going for 7 straight winning years. There's also the UEFA Conference League champion or the final match going today, Chelsea and Betis. That goes in the afternoon if you see this in time to grab that. Then, of course, we have this week's golf tournament pack already up for the Memorial. That'll include, as always, all 4 days, all pre-tournament plays, and then any add-ons for the 4 days.
Love it. All right. Break it down. Who's your favorite this week?
Feels like we're on repeat, but you have for your one and done. I have him here for my favorite. It's Colin Morikawa, 16-1 for the win, plus 160 for the top 10. And you're going to notice we talk about this in these signature events. The top 10, top 20 prices for basically the entire field are just chopped because of the fact that there's only 72 people in the field. But this is all going to come down to his putter, and I think it's kind of easy to say for Morikawa. But as I mentioned, he has a win and 2 runner-ups on this course. Mainly because, again, I look at over the course of 4 days, he's going to hit more fairways and greens than most of the field. That's going to save a half stroke here, half stroke there. That adds up. He had to withdraw here in 2023 after Saturday's round, after the third round. He was in the top 10. He was within a few strokes of the lead heading into Sunday, so it was likely another good finish in this event. His 2 poor starts that he had here, Andy, was 2022, he missed the cut, and then 2020, he finished tied for 48th. Again, that was that weird back-to-back weeks. So he won the week prior, but then finished 48th the week after he won. But both of those weeks, he lost strokes putting, while his other 4 starts here, which were all good finishes, he was averaging more than 1 stroke gain putting per round. So again, it's going to come down to his putter because we know his ball striking is going to be there. Overall, this is Morikawa's worst 4-stretch start, or first, let me say that again, 4-start stretch this year, where his short game and putting have both let him down. So I'm hoping that he can turn that back around this week at a place where he's been very comfortable in both of those departments. So if he can do that, I think he's going to be in the mix. And of the guys priced in this kind of general area, I just feel like he's the most consistent and the most trustworthy this week. So Morikawa's my guy.
Love it. Love it. We can go to Draftkings Darlings. Pretty good week for Draftkings Darlings, Nick. I've got a 5% best bet that is up in UFC. We were off last weekend, no UFC event, and man, UFC has been really good for us and for clients to build the bankroll. We're number 1 in 2025. I think we started off number 1 after the first event, and we haven't given up that lead. So our 5% has been really good, 7-2 this year, and 5% best bet. So really solid card. There's actually quite a few fights that we like, but we narrowed it down to our favorites, and it's plus money. That's the best part. Only thing better than a 5% play is a plus money 5% play.
Yeah.
So go ahead and add that. And I was stunned that we could get it at plus money. So that's at wt.buzz/AL. Again, number 1 in UFC profits. That's been a sport that's been really good for us this year. So grab that, wagertalk.com. All right, Draftkings Darlings. I had a pretty bad lineup last week, not going to lie. I entered it in a tournament at 200, and I finished 137. So, just whatever. It's one of those weeks. So still been a really good year for Draftkings Darlings. So start with Austin Eckroat at 6,300. Rolling the dice here, Nick. He's made the cut in 3 straight tourneys. He's finished 39th and 30th the last 2 years. So I get a guy that's shown he can make the cut here and get us weekend points. Do not look up his stats. You won't feel confident. But when we're looking at these lower priced guys, you got to take some chances. So I'm hoping that his stats don't tell the true story, and I'm hoping that his recent form and his course history here gets us through to the weekend. Eric Cole, our guy, Eric Cole, used to be the Draftkings Darlings MVP, but
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, he's back. They priced us out of the market. Now he comes in at 6,600. I love it. Made the cut in 8 straight tournaments, 4 top 30 finishes in that span. He's also finished 24th and 45th the last 2 years here. So I'm loving him, having him back in our lineups at a great price. And then we'll go with Sam Stevens at 6,600. He's made the cut 5 tournaments in his row. Numbers are pretty good for a low price guy. Plus 0.35 tee to green, plus 0.40 around the green, and plus 0.26 putting. Those are in the last 3 months. So he keeps up with those numbers. I like our chances to get us through to the weekend and score some of those valuable weekend points. So as always, my full lineup is on my free digital download. That's at the same page where we have our 5% UFC best bet, wt.buzz/AL. Again, free article. It's got the course write up. It's got the descriptions on the players that can trip you up, as well as the Draftkings Darlings with my full lineup. So go ahead and take that at wt.buzz/AL. And let's go into a long shot here. Nick, diving a little bit deep here. Who you like?
Yeah, it's no surprise to us, but Andrew Novak has been quietly, but maybe not so quietly, also playing very good golf. And I hopped on last week for a top 20 finish, which was a nice cash. This week, he's dropped to 70-1. I see him now kind of at 60-1 at some books. But top 10 plus 450, top 20 plus 180. Hard to ignore this guy's 2-month stretch right now, right? So he started with the third place finish at the Valero, second at the RBC Heritage, lost in that playoff to JT. Then pairs up with Ben Griffin, last week's winner, and they win the Zurich Classic. So that talk about some foreshadowing, if you will, of two guys in great form and all of a sudden just breaking out. Tied for 17th at the Truist. His bad week did come at the PGA, where he missed the cut, but rebounded with the tie for 11th last week at the Charles Schwab. He's consistently gaining strokes off the tee, 13 of 17 starts this season behind. It's a good combination of both distance and accuracy. So it's not like he's got lack of length that's going to hurt him, but he's good enough to keep it in the fairway as well. He ranks 9th on tour this season in strokes gained around the green. So when he is missing, he's able to get up and down. And again, what did I say about Muirfield? The number one most difficult golf course to hit greens in regulation. So yeah, everybody's going to have to rely on that short game. So 9th on tours, I'll take that. Like Morikawa, he too is probably going to live or die by the putter. He's had a mixed bag of horrible putting weeks and lights out putting weeks, which has been more of his recent start. So I'm hoping that continues to carry over. But overall, he ranks actually 6th in putting average this season, despite some pretty ugly weeks where he's had miscuts. So he's been consistent there. And, this is his first start here. So that's the concern. That's likely going to hurt him, likely going to keep him from winning. But pure form alone, I think he's going to be good enough to be in that top 10, top 20 mix. I mean, a lot of these starts you're seeing, it's like, I think they said it about Scottie at Quail. He doesn't have the course history, but the fairways and the greens are the same as anywhere else. You see him out in front of him, you get there. Yeah, it's the nuances of some of the putting, maybe that course history benefits, but you can still play well at a course you haven't seen. It just might keep you from winning. But I like Novak to play well again this week. Top 10 plus 450, I think, is awesome. And the top 20 plus 180, I think, is a no-brainer.
Love it. Love it. We're almost done here, guys. So you could please hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you get notified when all of our shows get posted. We do this show every single week. And I have to shout out Gil Renard, one
Oh,
fan,
yeah.
posted in the comments section.
Yep. Maddie Schmid.
Top 5, 22-1. Top 10, 10-1. Top 20, make the cut. Just a hunch. I've been watching this cat lately.
That's better than
wow.
Fantastic.
Wow, absolutely fantastic job. So great job in the comment section. We got a few others this week, but that one stood out as one for the ages. So great call. Leave us a comment and tell us who you like this week. I always love seeing what golfers you guys are betting. So like always, all of our plays can be found at wagertalk.com, wt.buzz/NB for all of Nick's plays, wt.buzz/AL for all my plays. You can use those shortcuts. Again, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Good luck on your bet. Should be a great week of golf, and we'll check back in with everybody next week. Take care.